need a cage in that gymnasium. I play to win, Will still Chamberlain. Even Damien and Satan is afraid of him.
And they was talking all that hot ish. Where the prophets ain't apostles, here the gospel is the gossip. I'm a science project, try and pocket this rhyming process. Watch us in formation, going through lines. Fiber optics, this is Miley Cyrus in her freak phase. The naked truth, don't be Ray Caruth in a trunk pump, just take the truth. Shit, Daisy Dukes at a night show. I raid your room, change the mood. That was like though, yeah. Break a fuse if they refuse. This snapping, shots without the flashes. If I was ever in a pit with you, that's harassment. Your storyboard magic, they had it. To be real, our ears over the field like 100-yard passes. Score the basket, order more caskets. Only way they getting bypasses is gastric. I'm tapped in, it's too late. Fix your face, this is sleeping on a killer in a cabin by Crystal Lake.
Lord,
we got rent to raise.
They gon' need to raise the rim. They gon' need a cage in that gymnasium. I play to win, Will still Chamberlain. Put the globe on my middle finger and made it spin. They gon' need to raise the rim.
Peace, family. Welcome to another episode, Underground Railroad Productions. This show's Brother Rich, a.k.a. Black Magic. Got a powerful lineup for y'all today, man. Why don't y'all introduce yourselves? Starting with the brother to the left or the right to the people.
You know, this is my third time being on Black Magic. For those who don't know, I'm 19 Keys. 19 keys of unlocking the mind, shifting the paradigm, creating a whole new pattern of thinking, creating keys so you can unlock someone and be a key for the people that's around you. So I'm tapped in with my good bros.
Yes, sir. Brother Ben X, as you all may know me as, a part of the paradigm shifting. The shifters officially on the team.
Yes, sir.
Student of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Just striving to be an example of what a God is and striving to put our information and the teachings to wake up the God in you.
That's right, and Brother Rizza Islam just dropping facts to get up and make you act, be right and exact with the people. Another striving student under the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, hailing from the West Coast, and I'm here newly inducted into the team called Paradigm
The
Shifters.
Man, the shifters.
Man, we just kind of like jumped into this thing, and I said, you know what, let me go ahead and add to my brothers as a young guy would do.
Indeed, man. It's good to have young brothers represent on the platform. Well, let me start out, since y'all define for me exactly what a paradigm shifter is. What do you mean by that, paradigm shifter?
You know, a paradigm represents a pattern, you know. Most of the time, what we have right now is a paradigm paralysis. It means that we fell into take on a new concept of thinking, a new program of thinking. We stuck in the old models and we stuck by that paradigm, and the reason we can't shift it because we're not aware of it. We're not aware of all of the things that create it, that make up of it. So in order for a person to shift the paradigm, they have to create a new model of thinking, a new model of patterns, a new program. So what we do is, I always tell people, you know, the arithmetic to a frequency is how frequently something happens. So if we come on here 2 days a week, you know, and that's 7 days, then the frequency is 14 hertz. So if we wanted to shift a paradigm, and let's say our paradigm shift is 100 hertz, then we know how many weeks we got to go up there by that arithmetic. So I like to put it in that cadence, that stance of thought, because I want people to understand that this is something they have a real capability of doing. And anybody that changes the pattern, anybody that changes the environment, anybody that changes the way someone thinks, anybody that introduces a new language, new ideas, that impression of people and unlock minds away from what's been already set, then they paradigm shifters. But it's important for us to introduce this new language because it represents a paradigm shift. When the internet came and they had memes and hashtags, the fact that we was using that language represented a new paradigm shift. Mm-hmm. So when you become conscious, like, wait a minute, I hear new languages. That means the shift is happening. But the thing is, you don't have to just watch them, you can create them. So me and my brothers, we get together, man, and we call it the shifters, man, for one, just so it'd be easy to recognize, just so you had that language in your own mind to where you say it frequently, to where you understand that you are part of it too. We just representatives of paradigm shifts because every day we wake up, we change the world because we change minds. And so we think that we got to wait another 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 years to change what's been happening in this black paradigm, but we can do it today and the world will be changed tomorrow, because if you put us in front of 1 billion people, then we just changed 1 billion people's lives. and we shift the pattern of their thinking by introducing a new model of thinking.
And for me, paradigm shifting is basically changing the mindsets. And of course, you can't do anything without a conscious thought. So changing the mindsets and changing the actions within the people. So for example, for me, changing the way certain things are getting done. You may know about the Final Call newspaper or Muhammad Speaks. Well, us being a young guy coming to the Nation of Islam, we still go out with the paper, but I've bossed up and also sell it online as well. So I have almost 100 customers online as well. So not only do I have customers in the streets, but I send a PDF version. So not only are we still getting the same thing done, but we changing and we're shifting the way we're doing certain things. So with social media, we're able to convert and we're able to reach many people, millions, like you said. Right. I got over maybe 300 million views. And like you said, whenever you touch somebody, you change the mind because mind represents man. So when you change that mind, you are changing that man or you are changing that woman. And the feedback that we're getting feedback like y'all are changing the world and we are changing the mindset of the youth. And I feel like whenever we can change the youth, we are changing the world because the youth is the future.
Absolutely, and I'll just add on to that, just to dovetail my brothers really quick. The one thing is, seeing how the average thought travels at 24 billion miles per second, that means that the faster you're able to get a thought that will go into your mind, your reality, which will be the physical reality outside of your own self-universe, will change just as fast as you're able to think it. So our brothers will give a new idea that will change your life, that will help you to change others' lives. Same thing we do in the Nation of Islam, just being good representatives, brothers who are out here showing you that you can do more than just rob, shoot, and do all that. A lot of us came up out of that lifestyle anyway, or should I say that death style. And what we do on my end, I try to drop as many facts and solutions in 60 seconds or less. That way we don't even have the excuse of saying, man, I ain't trying to watch no 2-hour lecture. I can't do the 90-minute lecture, man. I love all the information, but it's just so long, so much. So I said, you know what, let me go ahead and grab what all of our greats have given us, condense it in such a quick bullet form that goes straight into the recesses of the mind to where it opens up everything that you have already within yourself that has been untapped and been locked away for so long. So we each have our own unique way as brothers to shift the paradigm or the average normal way things have been going to where now we can actually realize that true freedom, justice, and equality, because the new world is a new man and a new woman with a new mind.
I want to ask y'all, one of the biggest criticism since you mentioned the internet era and how things change, I've noticed people give to the Nation of Islam is that y'all played out. You know, y'all, it's you know, interesting that it's called paradigm shifters because a lot of people think y'all part of the old paradigm. So if you're shifting this paradigm and we're entering a new paradigm, where does the Nation of Islam fit in where there's people feel as though there's information that is superior to the teachings that were taught in the 60s and 70s because we're supposed to evolve. So how is the Nation of Islam going to fit into this new paradigm and this new way of thinking with all this information that's out right now?
I mean, I think it's pretty easy. You know, when you look at the root of a lot of the people that call it superior knowledge, you can trace it back to the Nation of Islam. There's been people who came out about on YouTube and kind of criticize the Nation of Islam, and when you get down into their videos, you get down into their teachings, you break it down, it's pretty much the root of it is the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and a lot of them were even admitted in their own interviews and in their videos. So when it comes to where we're going to fit in at, I believe we're doing a great job at showing where we fit in at. All of us are products of the Nation of Islam. All of us are products of the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the feedback that we have gotten from the youth, because see, there's one thing about getting a lot of views, and there's one thing about getting a lot of likes, but I come up hearing that you can tell a tree by the fruit that it bears. So the fruit that this brother is bearing, the fruit that I'm bearing, the fruit that he's bearing, and we are fruit from the Honorable Mr. Louis Farrakhan, and a lot of the rappers that's coming out conscious, they fruits of the Honorable Mr. Louis Farrakhan, no matter if they in the nation, no matter if they FOY or not, we doing it. Just for example, look at The Crown. Back in the day, they had the feds, but look at The Crown. Now you got conscious people putting it in movies. This brother right here in movies now. He's in music videos now. So what we're doing is, all we're doing is shifting the way it's done, but it's still the foundation is the teaching. So when we talk about what we need as a people, as black people, we need land, we need schools, we need food. Well, you look at the Nation of Islam, we got land, we got food, and we got schools. So we got everything that we're doing, but what we're doing is we're just shifting it and we're making it more unique, and we're bringing a whole bunch of youth in. So you may not see it on social media because of only a few of us on social media, but we're getting around and we're filming some of the elders and showing the work that they're doing as well, and you'll be surprised at how many youth are in our DMs. So, for example, the brother was talking about some awards and about how we should start honoring the youth and put more youth into it. So, Brother Nuri talked about a youthless movement is a useless movement. Right. So, when you look at these different movements and you look at these different organizations, we actually are an organization. So, if you kill one man, you don't kill the organization. So, if you, let's say, for example, if you do kill Farrakhan, you got 3 more Farrakhans right here. If you kill us 3, you got some more coming up. So we're an actual program that's producing the youth, and we're not just fruits of it. Now we're producing our own fruit. Now we got brothers in our DM trying to become FOI, and if they're not becoming FOI, they just being supporters and they following our foundation. So that's what we fit in that. We all up in it.
Hey, the dominant frequency always wins. So when you look at the history of the Nation of Islam, the greatest paradigm shifter of all time was Master Fard Muhammad. And he did that by laying the seeds and the keys into Elijah Muhammad, Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And when the Honorable Elijah Muhammad took the impression of those minds that he was talking to that were down in the bottom, and he told them that the black man was God, and he introduced to them a new knowledge, he sparked a chain reaction, something that they had never had before ever in their life. Matter of fact, people weren't even coming to the poor class black people with consciousness. They was only going to the middle class at that time. So he was circumnavigating where people weren't even looking. And therefore, he created such a powerful paradigm shift that you got 3 brothers like us that's sitting in front of you continuing the work. But we're not waiting for Elijah Muhammad tell me what to do now in 2018. We take that information, pattern our own minds, and then we can become shifters in the same light to where 100 years from now, brothers will be looking back at what the Brother Ben did and what 19 Keys did and Rizza Islam did and everybody else that's within that same network. Now, to directly answer your question, when it comes to building a nation, you got to have food, clothing, shelter, and now you want to say technology. And so it's a very real thing that us brothers, I'm speaking into it right now, are going to work with individuals who have the resources, whether they're in the nation or whether they're outside the nation. Because you can't look within the nation to ask where the resources, because most of the nations on the outside, that's not why they within. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad traveled overseas to go get deals on fish markets and things of that nature and bring them here. Them people weren't all Muslims. So we understand that the power is being able to go wherever the power is and then bringing it back home. So if we got to develop our own, well, not do we got to, but we have to develop our own technology, develop our own social media. We using this as a platform of engagement because that's where the intention is. And where the attention is where the energy is. Where the energy is where things manifest. So we taking this platform and we using it as a way to fish. And then once we hook it all in, we say, okay, now I know y'all looked at us in year 1 and year 2, but how many people would have, if we had social media, would have criticized Master Fard Muhammad or Elijah Muhammad in the 30s? Like, what is y'all brothers building? You know what I'm saying? But it's like, can we build though?
Right.
Like, but we building though.
Right.
So, but the eventuality of this building is we're going to be rich and righteous like I talked about last time. And we're going to build a nation that sustains itself, that has, as we do now, organization, like you say, organizations only fear organizations. So we have to be organized because we are organism, but we are all the internal parts. And all the internal parts have to work together so that it's a well-oiled machine. So we got to have grocery stores, and there are grocery stores already within the nation. But of course, when we look at anything that we have, we have to say, you know, you're right, we got to do that times 10. So instead of complaining about what we don't have, we just say, you know what, we're going to upgrade that by mobilizing together, grabbing as much attention, energy, power, resources, connecting with all the other paradigm shifters who may have different doctrines, dialects, languages, states, countries, whatever the hell they at, and say, we just go pull the resources and work together. Instead of saying we're going to pull the resources, we having those actual conversations, turning that into mobility. And then to be like, yo, look, 3 years down the line, man, this is what we produce from the young guys coming together that you was criticizing day one.
Exactly. See, and that's the thing we're talking to the Nation of Islam, which is friendship in all walks of life. See, a lot of people criticize the nation and say, oh, y'all just look out for the nation. Oh, y'all only look out for the Muslims. Something happened, y'all only look out for yourselves. It's like, no. Every nation looks out for its own. But if you knew that you are already a member of the Nation of Islam, which is what we're taught, that all original people are members by birth, by nature. See, we're all family. So if my brother over here is a Moor and he has some schools, I'm going to do business with my brother.
Facts.
If my family over here, some of my Mexican Chicano family, they have some grocery stores and they say, listen, let's go ahead and do some business with your fish, your bean pies, whatever y'all have, your groceries, we can barter, come together and do that. See, we are taught to have friendship in all walks of life. And not only that, but this has been successful since 1930. And when the government came in the 70s, they destroyed it for a small period of time. Then the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said, you know what, I'm not about to let this go down. He brought it all the way back from destruction totally and resurrected the entire teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, resurrected the Final Call newspaper building with his own money, going on speaking tours just to resurrect the number one black-owned news publication on the planet, which is the Final Call newspaper. Now on digital, now in full effect. So it's on paper, but it's also on digital. So the thing is, results is what people want. Results are what speak to the people. Statistics, numbers. They want to see how successful are you. And so not only has it been proven to be successful, but we're not walking around boasting and putting everybody else down. No, all we want to do is uplift all of our people, starting first, because we are those who have been destroyed from the very beginning. So we have to resurrect the original man and woman first. We have to resurrect their mentality, give them the knowledge of self, knowledge of who they are, the time, and what must be done today. We have to establish a separate state and territory, like little China, like little Armenia, like little Cambodia, like all the Jewish districts, like all of these separate but equals, what they call them, but they're all separate. They have their own everything, and so they don't need to beg anybody, vote for anything, or attack each other. They simply do for self, and that is exactly what we are doing. So the question was, brother, how is the nation relevant? Well, we took everything that we learned from all of the greats, from Master Farah Muhammad, Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Brother Malcolm X, El Hashim Malik El Shabazz, the Honorable Minister Farrakhan, Dr. Khalid Muhammad. You can go down the whole list. We took it all and we brought it to a digestible language for the people today. That's why a lot of the celebrities, you hear them say Assalamu Alaikum, from Snoop to Nas to Cube to they know what it is. And so we use all of the information that we have and we simply put it into the ethers of the analog digital world. You can say, and so I do my part, Brother Ben does his part, Brother Keys does his part, and we always maintain our integrity because we know what it did for us and our family. So we can't sit here and act as though it can't help you and it can't help everyone else that we introduce it to. So the Nation of Islam definitely will remain relevant as long as young brothers like us take a hold of it and push it out to the world.
Speaking on this new paradigm, I was reading an article probably about a month ago, and they were saying how organizations are losing a lot of members, religious organizations. I think they was talking about the Christian churches down south or something like that. But my question to you guys is, you know, we're talking about this new paradigm and the paradigm shifting. One of the complaints people have constantly about organizations is that, you know, the leader becomes like Jesus to all the organizations. So we have a situation where people feel like people started to worship Elijah. People started to worship Dr. York. People started to worship whoever was the head of that or of whatever organization. So do you feel as though, you know, talk to the people about being in an organization but not worshiping the person that's the head of that organization?
I'll speak on that briefly. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, in many of his lectures, he always talks about follow, but don't worship me. He always reminds us not to worship him. And he even said, you know, shoot, we'll slap you silly for worshiping him. Now, of course, he was just joking, but he's serious about not worshiping him because he understands once you begin to worship a finite body, once that finite body goes, you're going to feel like you lost your savior, which he is a savior in a way, but we're going to feel like we're lost God because you begin to worship that person as the God, as in his body is God, and it's not his morals, it is not his principles. So when it talks about an organization and to give advice to an organization, yes, you may admire a man, and there's nothing wrong with admiring a man or having a spiritual father. However, it's not his finite body that's important. It's not his finite body that is that's changing the lives. It's the spirit within. It's the supreme intelligence within. It's the morals, the character within. So instead of worshiping the human being, or as he says, worship my personality, no, worship how I'm morally correct. Worship how I have patience with my people. Worship how I take plenty. These are all attributes of God. Be beneficent. Be merciful. Now, of course, Allah is the most, but no, you take on these characteristics, and that's what's going to live on. Kind of like a light bulb. If you have that light bulb right there, the light bulb isn't the reason that the light bulb is on, but it's electricity that goes through the light bulb that makes the light bulb be on. But you can't necessarily see the electricity. So if I knock that light bulb out, or I knock it down, yes, I may not see the light, but the electricity is still there. It may be in that light. So the same way that the Honorable Mr. Louis Farrakhan is a light for us, when that light goes out, he has now given us life. He has charged us up. So when he's no longer here, we're still going to be here. So that's why he says, I can't die. That's why we say the Honorable Elijah Muhammad can't die, because it's not necessarily their bodies, it's the supreme intelligence within them that's going to be passed on through human beings. I believe that's what eternal life really is. Again, we believe man is mind. So if I use my mind correctly on earth and I impute it into children, I impute it into my children in particular, I can live on forever. When you think about the iPhone, when you think about Steve Jobs started with iPhone 1. Now he's physically gone from us, but his mind's still going with the iPhone 2, 3, 4. Now we all the way up to 10, and we might be up to whatever, but he's still making decisions here on earth, even though he's not physically here. So the way that we function in organizations is about playing your role and understanding that person, yes, he may be important. Yes, he may be the one that molded us all together, but don't take on his personality. Take on the morals and the spirit within.
If I may hit just a small point on that, because my brother is 1000% correct. And the people who have that criticism of worshiping man is 100% correct. Because when a person drops like when Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, came out, and he has his body of knowledge that he put out there for the people, and what we know as the Holy Quran. It was not to worship Prophet Muhammad, but to worship Allah. But you have what they call Mohammedans, that they worship so-called the Prophet more than they do Allah. And this actually causes turmoil and conflict in between them, because you worshiping the man instead of the source, the knowledge. It was never supposed to worship the messenger, but it was supposed to absorb the message. And so, therefore, you see a lot of things fall because of that. They got what they call the mathematical code that was supposedly broken by Rashad Khalifa. And what he say he discovered in the Holy Quran was a 19 mathematical code. And within that code, he said he was able to discover certain arithmetics that added up to the number 19 within the verses, within the names of Allah dropping, the surahs, all of it. But he said what happened was, there was at one point in time that they asked all of the different scholars and scribers to recompose the Quran. And they converged with each other and they said, can I throw in this extra verse? And they looked at the verse and they said, this is fine, sure, you can throw that in there, no problem. And it was a beautiful verse. I believe it says something about, all praise is due to Allah for Muhammad, and, it basically added in Muhammad before the worship of Allah. And what they found was, when he put together this mathematical code and he computed the Quran, he said he found that something was off, because one of the surahs or verses or something like that didn't add up to 19. And so what he said in his mind is that he broke down this mathematical code to find this verse that was added in, and it was the one that was about Prophet Muhammad. And he said what came from that was a war, and some of Prophet Muhammad's family dying, and a misworship. And he said basically anything that didn't add up to that number 19 was the truth that needed to be taken out of the Quran. And he computed that to say, the 19 being over the Quran and things of that nature. But the story for me is the interpretation of things being protected by the truth. When you keep the message 100% pure, it's protected by the truth. But when you start worshiping the man and adding to and taking from, then that's when you have this pattern of things that end up happening that's disruptive. That's when you have individuals who change the paradigm for the worse. Because if people would have just took the pure knowledge and used it for what it is, oftentimes you will go far and that message will become a solution. But people end up worshiping the man. People end up worshiping the faults of the man. Then people will characterize the knowledge by the faults of the man. So when I think about the number 19 and the way I wrap it around, the reason they call me 19 keys and things of that nature is because it's a mathematical truth that's designed within the world. But the worship of man is those things that lead us into falsehood and lead us into that disruption of a paradigm to where we end up failing as individuals and as collectives. So I agree with anybody when they talk about don't worship a man, because all the men that I follow would say the same thing.
Exactly.
And so I would be doing them, I wouldn't even be following them if I did that. So for me, when I see the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Minister Louis Farrakhan, I say, man, I want to aspire to stand on the side of them one day. But I know that I can't just have it in ego to be like, all right, I'm confident enough to do it. No, I have to actually raise myself up to that level of thinking, that pattern of thinking. So if a person is following, they should be following for the point to become a leader. So for me, I tell my brothers, it's not about following the teachings, it's about becoming them. That's what it is for me. I want to become them. I definitely want to do what Minister Farrakhan done and more. And if you don't have that aspiration with the teachings, then you're not following them correctly. What you mean you don't want to do what the messenger did with the message and more? Mm-hmm. So, you know, I'm sort of going on, but I love this question because you got to protect the truth. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, you get to following falsehood.
Exactly. See, and let me just go ahead and dovetail and just add my little piece that is, brother. I'll tell you this. We worship no man. We worship no man. You worship the creator who created the man. And because you worship the creator, that will always live on and always be in existence, because that is the universal energy that creates all life, period. So the moment you focus on that, you'll be able to have all the attributes. You'll be able to have all of those good, different components that will make you a master, just like it made them a master. My phone is over here going off. Let me go ahead and switch that up. And that is exactly why the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan himself was having a conversation with the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad asked me, he said, Brother Farrakhan, who made you? And he said, oh, you made me, dear apostle, you made me. He said, no, Allah made you. He said, I gave you the same thing I gave everyone. He said, but it's the way that Allah made you to do it the way that you did it. So even the messenger told him, don't worship me. It's not me that made you. It is the creator, Allah, that made you, because he made me, and he made every great one that came before me and every great one that will come after me. So as you said, brother, we will do these works as we're supposed to do. These works and greater works shall ye do. If we don't do greater works, then there's a problem.
Right.
There's a big problem if I'm doing the same amount or less than the minister. You're doing the same amount or less than the minister. The minister continues to say, do more. And he said, I'm 83. Right. He said, and I'm not done yet. And I'm like, hold on. Okay, he 83. I'm 28. Okay, I got a lot of catching up to do. And he's still working. And then he even followed that up by saying, you can't kill me. He said, even if you try, I can never die. Then he followed that up by saying, you will deal with me for generations to come. Because Farrakhan means the discrimination. It means choosing and the discerning, being able to look at what is right from what is wrong. It is that ability to come and separate the two. So we don't sit here and mix truth with falsehood and say, oh yeah, I'm gonna smoke a little bit, drink a little bit, then go pray over here or go mess with a few females. No, hold up, player. Listen, we can be righteous and gangster. All right, we can be truth traffickers. We can be, as Dr. Kala would say, truth terrorists. You see what I'm saying? We can do that, make it cool in a new paradigm, in a new way, make it fashionable, make it trendy to be conscious again, but not just conscious, but paradigm shifting brothers who bring about a new level of responsibility for our people by taking on the same fight that all of our ancestors took on, but we are elevating it, evolving it, and we will realize that freedom, justice, and equality that they've been fighting for so long.
Shifters.
Please.
Shifters. All right. Let's talk about leaders in this new paradigm. My question is, in this new paradigm, let's say I'm a leader and now my message is sharp. I'm talking about I'm super sharp. I got the gift of gab. I'm articulate. I can speak. I'm giving solutions that people could use. The people are using them and they're benefiting from them. I'm doing all types of things. But if you look in my personal life, I'm cheating on my wife. I got kids all over the place I'm not taking care of. You know, I'm engaging in drugs, you know, a little cocaine here, a little, you know, a little whatever there. But I'm sharp when it comes to being a teacher. Now, if we're not worshiping the man in this new paradigm, should we let that slide as him being a leader? Or sometimes they say, follow the message, not the messenger. Does the message have to follow his own message? Or is it possible he could just be so sharp in delivering it, he don't have to follow it only as long as you follow the message? What do y'all think about that?
Well, the minister actually just made a post about that, actually. He said it's not about actually having the gift of gab. It's not about being charismatic. It's about being morally and being having good morals and having good characteristics, having good character. Because like
integrity.
You said, when you talk about being articulate and when you talk about truth, to me, in 2018, there's nothing anybody's saying that nobody has never heard before. That's right. With the teaching, we may break it down in a way that maybe the youth can understand. We may throw in some current events, but to me, I've seen all the conscious videos. I've watched the YouTube channels. Nobody's really revealing any information that nobody has never said. So it's going to take somebody who is morally correct. It's going to take somebody who's patient. It's going to take somebody who's willing to take plenty, because that's what a real leader is. If you're just putting out a message, to me, you're just a smart nigga to me. So I would call that person a smart nigga. But if you're a leader, that means you're leading people somewhere, and it's going to raise them up for the dead. We always say in the Nation of Islam, we about building business. Of course, we got farmland. Of course, we got schools, but we're not necessarily in the business of people. We in the about raising business. We're about raising people up. So if you're not making somebody morally correct and giving sight to the blind and making the dumb speak, these are the things that we're supposed to be doing. So if you're going to wake somebody up and make them see again and make them hear again, you can't make them do that by you not being a good example, because then they're going to think they can do the same thing, and we know that's going to be bad for our culture. If we cheating on our women, if we're smoking, if we're drinking, if we're doing all the kind of crazy things, not living up to the life we want to live, then we're going to produce children that's going to do the same thing. Then once we get around a lot of people who we know just naturally get into personality worship, so they may follow somebody or like somebody because of their personality, then once they get around you, they're going to feel like it's you. They're going to start to justify because you did it, because you're so-called changing the world with your message. So I believe not only do you, I actually believe being morally correct and having character is better than somebody who just puts out truth. Absolutely. Because now you're being an example, and you're going to be a part of somebody who can actually change the world, because it's not necessarily just all about knowledge is going to change it. It's about the characteristics going to change it. Because I always say, when it comes to economics, I may know everything about real estate. I may know everything about investing, and we may all unite. But if we unite and I got to worry about you sleeping with my woman, if we unite and I got to worry about you being a thief, or I got to worry about you killing me, or I got to worry about you being shady, then that's not real unity. So we must unite on righteousness, not just unite because somebody got a good idea.
That was powerful. You know, it's interesting because when these brothers speak, it just sounds like I'm hearing my own conscious talk.
You actually are.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Are.
But when I think about this, I want to make people very responsible for what they take. Because last time we was here, we was talking about, you know, not throwing the baby out with the bathwater and things of that nature. So I also want people to look at it to where they're responsible for the knowledge that they take in. And I don't remember knowing anything about any one of my teachers in high school or college. But I took that information and left with it and used it. But the problem is, we take on all our faults and attach it to our leaders and hope they can hold that burden too. And if they don't become a reflection of perfection within a message, then it gives us a reason to be hypocritical as well and not take on truth. So it's like, take truth wherever it is, but just take the truth. I know people who done gave me great information in life to where sometimes they positive, sometimes they negative. Sometimes they're nigga, sometimes they're God. And it's like, I only take the God though. I'm not about to say, okay, you was giving me good advice as a God, so I'm gonna take that good advice as a nigga too. No, I'm just taking the God. That's right. So for me, it's always seeing like, okay, I'm gonna disassociate because I'm not worshiping you in the first place.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna lead. You being the leader is me taking the truth from you that I'm following. So I'm not even following you. I'm only following the truth that you have. Yeah, I mean, you disassociated from the truth. The truth is a universal concept. It's a mathematical thought process. So if a person tell me 2 + 2 = 4, that's a truth they didn't invent. Even if they was the first one that said it, they just discovered it. I appreciate you being a conduit for truth, but I'm not following you.
That's right.
So if that person follows their own truth, then there's somebody that could be worth following, but that doesn't mean I have to. So let's say, now this has never happened. Not in history. If there was a scandal with Minister Farrakhan.
Right.
It wouldn't take away from none of the truth that everyone has absorbed from him for the last
60 years.
60 years. But that hasn't even happened. And yet people don't follow him because of lies, not because of truth. So for me, a key is chi, is energy. You know what I mean? It's knowledge, it's electrical knowledge that is truth. So if Brother Rizza came and told me nothing but all truth my whole entire life, and one day he told me a lie, I'm gonna ignore that lie. Because I can absorb all of the truth. If somebody feeds me a vegan plate of good food, and on the side they put a Snickers bar, I'm gonna ignore the Snickers and eat the vegan food because it's good for me.
That's right.
You know what I
Right.
mean? But people are following false leadership. And people are following false truths and false narratives and lies and things of that nature. And they keep attaching, what they should do in life by what another person is doing instead of just taking the truth of it and making themselves better. Now, I'm not perfect. I don't know anybody who is, but I know brothers who striving and I know brothers who thriving. You know what I mean? And so I'm getting to that point where I want to get it to a point where everything I say, everything that I do, is 1,000, 10, 100 billion% truth. Because truth is the ability to act. Confidence is the ability to hold on to truth. So when you see the confident guys walk through, they confident because they know that the knowledge that they got is backed by God. They know it's all true. They know that the unobliged Muhammad true because he showed and proved. Not just because he the unobliged Muhammad and I like the brother, he was cool, he had dope crowns. No, the brother had proof.
Right.
Like this proof. The brother got the businesses. He was almost 100 millionaire in today's time. His paradigm is still going. There's products that's still being produced from the shifts that he created because we still following the truth.
Exactly.
We can't follow the man, he's not in front of us. We following the mind of the man, like my brother say, but that's the truth. If God delivers a message through a messenger, we only following his truth, not the man. The man can disappear after the truth is gone.
See.
I'm good, but what he left behind, I'm with that.
Exactly. See, and that is why we're taught in the Nation of Islam to settle on the best part of one another. I can use any one little excuse that my brother does, that the minister does, that one of the local ministers do, one negative thing I can use and say, oh, good, boom, now I can go out, F up everything. We're going to be savage. It was like, hold on, man, wait, hold on. If that is all it takes, you wasn't about this from the beginning. You wasn't serious about this from the beginning. See, when you decide to do something for your people, you make that decision. It is a personal decision that you've seen and observed that your condition as a people is not where you want it to be. And so you find something that will bring about the greatest elevation, evolution, solutions that your people need, and you follow that. You don't follow the man, you follow the example of good morals, good character. It does not mean that the negative things that the person has done are excused, but we are not the God nor the judge. He or she will have to pay for whatever they do with their Lord, with their God. That's what we're taught. I can't pass judgment on my brother because I'm not the cleanest brother out here. I'm not the most sinless brother. Like, no. I can't sit there and say your sin is worse than mine. No sin is greater than the other, brother. It's like, listen, you did some dirt, I did some dirt. How about we say, okay, we got our dirt, toss it over here. What positive stuff have you done? Okay, let me look at that. Let me capitalize off of that. Let's continue to duplicate that. Sisters feel that they can't even step in a mosque or a church because they feel like the stuff that they did in the street is so dirty that they're just too unclean. They can't step in. See, that type of mentality, we have to look at our brother and our sister as ourselves. We are not our condition. We are not our negative circumstance. And any leader who has truly become a leader has gone through some type of trial. And in this world, the Honorable Mr. Farrakhan teaches us that every prophet has sinned. He said every one of them have sinned in some way, shape, or form. Even Jesus himself said, even to think a thought of sin, you have sinned. So it's like, wait a minute, hold on. So you mean to tell me not one perfect person is, well, okay, hold on, not one perfect. Even Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, is like, hold on. No. He wasn't 100% sinless. For those who believe that he even existed, he was not sinless. All of us have sinned in some way, shape, or form. So for me to sit here and use the excuse of something negative that you did is what I'm going to use as a yardstick with which to live my life, then that speaks to me as an individual, and that tells me how legit I am and how illegitimate I am, depending on who I'm looking at. So I will follow the actual fact, the good character, the morals, all the truth. That is what we follow. We don't follow the individual, and we definitely don't base our life off of what another person does. We simply base it off of what God wants us to do.
And let me add this real quick. As a follower of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, there's a difference between being a follower and a worshiper. I believe if the minister came out with a Coke 45 and started drinking alcohol, I believe a worshiper would say, well, there ain't nothing wrong with that because he's Minister Farrakhan.
Exactly. Come on now.
And one thing that I love about the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is that he tells us his shortcomings. So he's willing to share these things because he knows he's human, and he knows if we're following those footsteps, we're going to fall short as well. Like, for example, we knowing how to eat to live, we don't eat peanuts. Well, he's revealed to us sometime, and I tear them peanuts up on the airplane because he's authentic. So what we have to do is we have to be able to decipher when we should do what we should do, and we have to understand not worshiping, but it's okay to follow the human being, but you also have to have the knowledge of God to know when your brother that you follow, when he slip up a little bit, because like they said, all of us gonna slip up a little bit, but it's only when we lose the self-accusing spirit when we start to become devils. So if I do something wrong and I slip up, the self-accusing spirit is supposed to make me feel guilty. The God within is what I'm talking about. Is supposed to make me feel like, dang, man, I messed up. But when we get to a point to where we are devils, or one who's making evil first seeming, to where I'm drinking alcohol, I'm talking about it's healthy for me. It got a little protein in it. Alcohol is good for me. Now that's somebody who is, I feel like, it's unfit to be a leader, because we all mess up as leaders. But when you're a leader, you're able to admit that, okay, I messed up. Okay, that wasn't right. Don't follow that part. The minister has talked about certain things he did in his relationships or families. He says it openly because he wants you to know, I messed up, but you don't do that. The minister even talked about, because he's worked so hard for this nation, that he sat at the table the first time with his family at the age of 70. He said, okay, I did that, but you don't do that. So he's always showing us his example and showing us some of the things that he would change or want us to do different. So I think that is what makes a leader, somebody who's willing to tell the generations after them how they can move out the cracks and do better. But somebody who's drinking and I'm turning up all the time and I'm fornicating, doing all kind of crazy things, and I'm trying to justify it, I'm trying to make you feel like I'm right, now you become unfit as a leader.
Absolutely.
With this new social media culture that we live in, where, I mean, people are pretty much glued to their phones all day long, and the person who gets the most views is looked at as a leader almost. How does the Nation of Islam and you brothers feel the fact that a lot of entertainers are being seen as leaders these days? I mean, they could say one word and they got 20 million followers, and all of a sudden those 20 million followers think they're the new pro-black guy on the scene. Do you have a problem with our people engaging in what we call celebrity worship, for lack of better words? Or do you think that's something we have to get away from, as far as looking at these celebrities so much and looking at their political views and religious views and whatnot? Being that you use the word celebrity worship, I would have to disagree with that. We shouldn't celebrity worship. We shouldn't worship anybody in that aspect. However, when it comes to how the Nation of Islam views that as hip hop, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said they are the leaders. Because if you think about it, you probably know a whole Cardi B song, or you probably know a whole Migos song, but you can't remember 10 things that the minister said last week, or you can't remember 10 things that the pastor said last week. So they are the new leaders. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said, in fact, one rap song is worth more than 100 sermons, because he knows that the youth is influenced by the rap. So I'm not even going to blame them. I'm going to blame those who are conscious and know them. Because how can they rap about something positive if they don't
don't know nothing positive. I've been through the hood and I asked certain brothers, I said, well, brother, what do you feel about certain people saying that all y'all talk about is rap, but y'all mad when y'all cousin get killed? They said, well, listen, this is all I grew up in. I'm just rapping about the drugs because this is what my mom did, my father did, this is what all my brothers did. This is really all I know. So I thought one time when people talk about Young Thug and something that he put out, I said, what do you expect them to put out? Do you expect them to talk about the 120 lessons? Do you expect them to talk about how far away the sun is? We have to educate them. That's our job.
Exactly.
When you look at Public Enemy, them brothers have messages in the music. When you look at Ice Cube, them brothers have messages in the music. So I feel like if we know that the influence is there, don't take away and try to condemn them. No, go to your brother and try to uplift him up, because you know through arts and culture is how our people is being influenced. So if I know everybody not going to listen to a YouTube video of me just telling you a lecture, I'm not going to get jealous as a man. I'm going to say, man, where the attention at? I'm going to go tell my brother 19 Keys how to put it in his way. I'm going to tell brother Rizza Islam these facts. I'm going to tell my brother Rich this. Or I'm going to go tell whoever, a rapper, this. Or somebody who making movies, put this in the movie. So wherever the people at, wherever the mind's at, us as people who are conscious got to go to them and uplift them. And since they have the youth, once we uplift them, they going to uplift the youth.
See, I'll say this. When people started seeing me hanging out with Snoop, when they started seeing me hanging out with T.I., Game, Mozzie recently, shout out to all my beautiful brothers. When they started seeing that and they started seeing the bow tie with the brothers, they're like, okay, what's going on? What's going on? It's like, no, hold on. I didn't just slip up next to the brothers. They want the guidance. And they even said this in their age. They said, we believe. This is what certain brothers, they told me personally, they said, we believe that the youth, that you young brothers are doing something so powerful because you are taking on the work of the ancestors. And the Honorable Mr. Louis Farrakhan said that they are the leaders of today. All they need is right guidance. That's right. That's all they need. They need our help, to be honest with you, because many of us believe that just because you have over 1 million followers, that you must have over 1 million solutions. You have over 1 million followers, you must have over 1 million facts in your mind. You must have 1 million different ways to help everybody to come out of the condition. If that was the case, each one of them could literally make a post, give a solution, and we would all be in freedom overnight. We would all have housing overnight. We would all have food, clothing, everything. But that's not the case. They all need support by giving them the proper guidance and also by being a good example for them. Okay. Because if you can imagine having 23 million followers, that's potentially 23 million problems you got. 23 million DMs with people with all these problems. I need money. I need this. I need that. 23 million headaches. 23 million different things that you have to deal with. So you're being pulled and pushed in so many different directions to where it becomes difficult to maintain integrity, to not drink, not smoke. I'm not justifying. I'm explaining why so many of our brothers and sisters are looked at as leaders, but they can't handle that. Many of them can't handle that. They're dealing with their own personal demons, their own family, with their own problems. So they need help with the street foot soldiers, which is what we are. We give the good example. We do our best to be an example. We give the right guidance, solutions, the best that we can. And then, of course, you'll see them. They'll share our posts. You know, they'll give us a shout out like, man, shout out to the young brothers. You know, Brother Rizza Islam, Brother Benez, 19 Keys doing a good job out there, helping the people, giving them the information they need. See, that is our job. It is not to condemn them. Our job is not to sit here and point out, oh, Snoop over here, he hypocrite. Oh, he doing rap, the next week he doing gospel. You know, like, okay, man, that's not our job, because all of us have our own struggle that we go through. So none of us know what the other person is going through. It's simply we need to be the best example of a young brother to help the young brothers and the older brothers as well. And the sisters do the same exact thing. And that is why they're looked up to as leaders, because they do have things that most of our people in our cities want. They want money. They want luxury. They want good homes. They want friendship in all walks of life. They want that bling, that chain. They want the crown. They want this. They want this stuff. They like what they see. It represents freedom. It represents success. It represents longevity, livelihood. It represents exactly what they deserve as a people. But it's different because we have to actually work for it. And that's all. They simply want to get that. Our way of doing it is simply by being the best example that we can, to give them the proper way of doing it so that they don't have to go steal and rob to get it. They ain't got to kill nobody to get it. They ain't got to lie or cheat or do anything negative. And it's just being a good example and helping the young brothers and sisters who are celebrities so that they can truly become leaders. Because right now, the consciousness has truly taken over.
Come on now.
And they want to be good leaders. And they're tired of seeing what's going on. And that's why they're sharing more posts that inspire solutions, that inspire thought-provoking conversation and dialogue. So that's the new wave right now. So they are leaders. We simply have to be, you know, good brothers to them and give them right guidance and good examples.
You know, In a music group, the principal player is the leader. That's what that's one of the definitions of leader. So when you think about a musician, the musicians control the frequency. You know how frequently we listen to music, how frequently that signal, their thoughts are in our mind, which is a transfer of their emotions and their spirits back and forth 100 times. They control the paradigm through the frequency because it happens so frequently. You listen to a rap song 20 times. That's like listening to a speech of them 200 times. Because also that signal get trapped in the molecules of your being, in the water that's in your body. So if you want to take this to another level, they literally controlled the people. You know what I mean? Just like the prophets, walked on water, people on the water. You know what I mean? So the musicians are controlling the frequency of the water, which are the people, which is life. So when I think about social media directly, social media is the crowd mind, as I explained. The new crowd mind is social media because you surrender your intelligence to the crowd because of its numbers. But the crowd mind is unintelligent because it doesn't have the ability of forethought. So imagine if a politician wanted to introduce a tax on, let's say, like bags or something like that. You'd be like, a little 10 cent, a little 5 cent. People are like, I ain't tripping. That ain't gonna hurt me in the short term. I'm cool with that. But if it's like an income tax or something big, then the people go resist against that. But not knowing, let's say unconsciously, that this bag tax takes more money out than the new income tax that was proposed. But the people are not thinking of the future. They can have knowledge and information, but the crowd doesn't have wisdom. So when you see somebody like the Beehive attack something and all of a sudden everybody posting those bees, that's the crowd mind. They see one person do it, the other person do it, now everybody's a part of this. They surrendered the archetype of the individual, and you can't tell the scholar from the fool when they both in the crowd. And it's easier to impression the crowd with ideas and mold images within their mind. So the celebrities and any conscious figures or the comedians nowadays, because it's not even just the musicians anymore, now you opening up new fields. Now the comedians have the same kind of sway as the musicians. You know what I mean? Now they get to control your happiness. You coming to them for your happiness. You depending upon someone else. So when I think about the musicians, I just say, you know what? We just got to attack it the same way. If that what works in this paradigm, in order to shift it is to create a new model. But sometimes you have to use some of the tools of the current model in order to shift into the next one. So leaders have an unconscious mastery over the psychology of crowds. So I just tell people, you have to be aware of that what you do when you use social media. Because either you use it or it uses you. And you either become the fool because the people that you observe on social media are the people you hang out with. If the only people I followed on social media was Brother Ben, Brother Rizza, these are the people I'm hanging out with all day, because you observing their mind. You don't just have to be in the environment with them. In the 90s, early 2000s, before the phones, it was just the people you hung out with was the people that was in your physical environment. Now, no, that's who your mind is hanging out with. So you referencing their thoughts and probably don't even remember that you got it from them. That brother said something on the caption, now you taking that onto your new language. You talking to your friends and you quoting something the Brother Rizza said. Don't even remember you watched that post. You referencing other people's mind. You giving up your individual intelligence and you like, yeah, that's right, because everybody's doing it. They did a test and I'm gonna close on this point. They did a test where it was a bunch of people that walked into an elevator and everybody was facing the wrong way. They was facing the opposite direction you're supposed to when you get on the elevator, but they wanted to see if the people that got on the elevator would get swayed to the crowd, because mirror neurons make you want to do what you see other people do. So when they walked on the elevator, almost 9 out of 10 people would face the wrong direction just because the crowd was doing it. And that's what we're doing right now. We are going whatever direction the crowd is. So we have to remember that social media is the new crowd mind. And the crowd mind can have advantages when it's talking about creating a collective group for something that's going to build. But oftentimes social media is just, it's whatever left to whoever's putting something out there. You don't even know which thought you're referencing from.
I forgot you study quantum physics. I forgot. You was talking about the mirror neurons. I got to do a separate interview another time. We're going to go a little deeper with the mirror neurons and all of that. New paradigm.
Yes, sir.
Such an amazing conversation I'm having with you, brothers.
Yes,
the
sir.
shifters are in the building.
Yes, sir.
A lot of people feel the Nation of Islam, some of the words they will hear coming out from the Nation of Islam, the white man is the devil. is old paradigm. Now they feel in this new paradigm, the only devil is your lower self. And that comes in many forms. White man, black man, whoever. That fear, whatever you have, it appears in many different faces. So the white man's not the devil no more in this paradigm. Could you talk to me about those who have taken that approach to the famous, the white man is the devil that we know of when we think of?
I'm just going to say a quick thing.
Yeah.
Only thing I want to say is, and I might come back with something else after this. That's the only. Let me not say the only thing I want to say, because this is a big subject. It's just the fact that I had made a post a long while ago about, because I seen like Charlemagne the God be calling the white man devil and a bunch of different people, and I think they took some of the potency out of it. You know, it used to be able to say white man devil and get a big reaction. Everybody like, yeah, white man devil. And so I looked up about 400 different ways to call white man devil. Because I wanted to create a new parent. I was like, this ain't hitting no more. You know what I'm saying? But I just wanted to say that, man. We got to get a new powerful word. You're right.
There was a time when the minister talked about how the Honorable Elijah Muhammad told him to change the language, which he said to change it from devil to Satan. And Satan is one who makes devils. So yes, there are black devils today, but we have been made by the white devil, white devil, because we understand that devil simply means a wicked person or your lower self, which is what they represent since they came from us. And the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said the devil is also deceptive intelligence, rationalizing disobedience. So I believe it also that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad knew this, because he even talked about white Muslims in the book Our Savior Has Arrived. So when you think about the way he was speaking, we was a mature human being. So you think about, you have a son. If you have a son and you take your son outside, you got to understand that there's rattlesnakes that may be poisonous. Then you have snakes that are grass snakes that aren't poisonous. Well, because my son is only 2 years old and he's not mature enough to decipher which one is poisonous and which one is not, I'm going to tell my son, as an intelligent, wise father, all of the snakes are bad. All of the snakes are poisonous. And then as he begins to mature and understand that he can be mature enough to decipher which one is the poisonous one and which one is not the poison one, then I tell him, this one right here is the good snake. Or this one right here is the bad snake. Now, a snake, the brother is still a snake. So the nature haven't changed. We just have to bring you up to an evolutionary way of saying it. So when it comes to, you know, the white man being a devil, or, you know, the black man being a devil, we both can be devils based on which voice that we submit to. So we have what you call the self-accusing spirit within, which is you have the God or you have the devil. I don't know if you ever seen the cartoons where you have the angel on this side, and you have the devil on this side. Basically, that's what happens on the inside of us every time we have a command, or we have a command to do something righteous. For example, you know you're supposed to be at the house at a certain time, or you know you're supposed to treat your wife a certain way, or you know you're supposed to treat your son a certain way, the devil will creep in and say, well, nah, you ain't got to do that today. Or when it comes to the man being the provider, whenever I go to these different places, brother, I ask him, what's the definition of a man? They always say provider, maintainer, all the different things that many of them don't even disagree with. But when it comes to us doing what we're supposed to do as men, we'll make up excuses. We'll start to rationalize the disobedience. We'll start to rationalize our position or our duty as men. So we'll say it's 2018, brother, I can't afford it. Or it's 2018, that's the old way. The woman better get out there and get that 50%. And I want her to come home and cook. And I want her to have sex. And I want her to clean up. So we want her to be a superwoman, but we don't want to be Superman. So when it comes to that, when it comes to the white man being the devil and the black man being God, of course that's our nature. And you can't change the nature of a thing, but we just have to understand the different time periods that we're in. So if you listen to the minister's speech, you hear how he talks about the good Jew and he talks about the satanic wicked Jew, which the ADL now has him as, well, he's been on the list about being anti-Semitic and about teaching hate. But they never talk about the part when he talks about good Jews. He never talks about the part when he talks about how they have helped build civilization. He never talks about the part about how in the Quran it talks about that good Jew and that bad Jew. So it's just about with the message. A lot of people believe that just because you hear truth in 1930, that when it changes, that they think it's not truth anymore, or they think you're changing. No, just because it was true back then doesn't mean it can't evolve and still be true from 2018. So I think we just need to be mature about how we receive things.
Excellent.
And the Honorable Louis Farrakhan as well, when he was referring to the white man being the devil, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said that the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad told him at a certain point, he said, brother, I no longer want you to use the term devil. I want you to use the term the enemy. the slave master's children. Yeah. So he gave different descriptions for different mentalities who could receive them all the same way. Some will receive the devil. Some will receive the enemy. Some will receive the slave master's children. But the point now is, in what we have as the Supreme Wisdom Lessons, it also talks about what a devil is, and it is one that is denatured, or one that is unlike, one who is away from its nature. So the moment you remove something or take it and change it from its nature into something else, you have grafted it. So it no longer can serve its purpose. So the black man today that we are dealing with is a Negro or a nigger. We are dealing with the white man's Frankenstein, is what we are as niggas out here. If you want to call yourself that, you're not operating as your nature. So therefore we have become a devil to our own people, because we're killing each other faster than the KKK killers. We are smoking each other faster than a lot of these police are killing us. We literally will record ourselves shooting one another, but then get mad and protest and boycott and do all that when a police officer does the same thing to us that we literally just did to ourselves. See, it lets us know that there's something going on up here. Are there simply white devils? No, there are some black devils. There are some Asian devils, some Indian devils, some Mexican devils. Anyone who goes away from their nature is a devil. That is what we are taught in the Nation of Islam. A Mexican by nature will not kill another Mexican. A black man by nature will not kill another black man. That's your nature, because you recognize, oh, you're my brother, you're not my enemy. But if I can install a command phrase, a trigger in your mind that makes you believe that when you see yourself or you see your brother, that's actually your enemy, I have now created a devil. And so that is a white supremacist mentality that has been installed in us, which has to be removed. That is what we are dealing with. That is what we're fighting against. And when we're talking to the people, they are very receptive, because we don't have to say the white man is a devil all the time. We can literally just say white supremacy. Right. As the Honorable Mr. Farrakhan said, he said the seed or the tree, the root of white supremacy must die so that justice may live. That is what he said. And so it is white supremacy, which is a mentality that has overtaken the entire planet, that we must eradicate.
And I want to add one more thing. I don't know if you guys have seen that old, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad interview. It's like Grand Black, which one ain't Grand Black? But he talked about a devil can be any grafted thing. So you can have a fruit that's a devil. He said any grafted thing can be a devil. Anything grafted from the original can be a devil. So when you look at us, the reason that we are or we can be black devils, not because the original man was able to be a devil, but we're devils today because we have been grafted and made back into them. So they was grafted, and they are pretty much the lower selves of ourselves. But since we have taken on their mindset and taken on their ways, we have been grafted and have became, as Scripture said, what does it say? A habituation, or well, how you say that
habitation
word?
Of devils.
A habitation of devils. So that's what we have become into. So even when you look into our lessons, when it talks about why does Muhammad or any Muslim murder the devil, if you're immature, you would think that means, okay, let's put two and two together. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said the white man the devil. Okay, let me go get the AK-47 and kill all white people, right? But the Honorable Mr. Louis Farrakhan, when explaining that, he says, no, every time you save a black man, you have then in that same act killed the devil, because you have killed the devil in his mindset. So the minister also said in an old lecture that even if we kill all white people like some people want to do, they still going to be in power. And you may say, how they going to be empowered? The white man not physically here, Brother Ben. Easy, because the minister talk about black white people. So you have a lot of black people who are put out in the front. You have a lot of white people that's put out on TV, but it's the white man's mind. It's not his natural mind. So it's not necessarily the flesh, because we can produce somebody, since we the dominant gene, that looks white. Not even just looks white, that comes out with blonde hair and maybe blue eyes. But it's the mindset that needs to be killed, not necessarily the finite body.
Let me ask y'all two brothers a question. Since I've known you, have I added value to you?
Yes, sir.
Have I added value to you?
Absolutely.
That means that I've been a God to them. One, a devil, another interpretation is one who devalues. So if I devalue my brother, I'm being a devil to him. If I devalue myself, I'm being a devil to myself. Now we know that the white man is devil because he's devalued us to the point where he had us in chattel slavery. Didn't even put us as full human beings in his constitution, where we're so-called supposed to have human rights. So when you think about that, the definition, he still fits the definition. But a new paradigm means a new language. So we don't have to use the old, we on something new now. You understand it? But it's also recognizing the devil within and the devil within your brother and making each other accountable for when we are being devils and when we are being gods to each other. My cousin was selling me some beads the other day. I had some little chakra beads. And I asked him for a discount. I wanted to get a little $5, $10 off or something. And then I realized, like, wait a minute, I'm devaluing him. Nah. And I caught myself in that moment and I cashed in him an extra $5 for the product. Because I believe that's the interpretation we need to have in our paradigm, holding each other accountable for when we being devils, not just when someone else is being a devil towards us. So the whole point of bringing that devil out was so that we can recognize it, so that we can overcome it, so that when we have a new generation, it's no more devils. They no longer devalue each other. They only add value to each other. So we could probably get another question because I was going to bring up something about...
This might spark an idea. When you talked about what you just said about them being an example, see, we got to remember the teachings also said that he came from us.
Right.
So that means if he came from us, that means it was something that was already there. So it's a Lord characteristic that came out. So the 6,000-year-old period that they have, which is why they are a race. And when you have a race, that's something that has a beginning and it has an end.
Come on now.
And so when you think about that, the 6,000-year-old period that the minister talks about is he said that's a very small part of time compared to how long we've been here on earth as original people. So all they is an example. So if you hate what he doing, then look at yourself and correct it. If you hate how he acting, then look at yourself and correct it. So that's the purpose of the white man actually being here.
So the brother mentioned this 6,000 year time.
Oh, let's not do that.
And
oh man.
You know, we was talking about this paradigm shift because we said, the brothers asked us, they said, are y'all radicals? You know, they got into it. And we you know, we had the beautiful answers. And I told the brother, I for surely am.
Absolutely.
One of the things, I'm so radical, I want to change time. I'm like, bro, what does that mean? You want to change time? The time system that we in right now is an artificial time. It's not based on our nature. So the time that's been recorded is a time of Cronus. It's a time of the Titans. Now the Cronus complexes, I was listening to the minister, this was last night, because I wanted to refresh myself. And it's talking about, I forget the white boy who wrote the book, but it was a white boy who wrote the book so he can understand his own people. He wanted to understand why they were so evil around other individuals, why they couldn't just live in peace. And he said that he found that the Caucasoid, because they grew up in harsh, cold conditions and things of that nature, that they had an atypical level of aggression, that they wanted to conquer others instead of just live in peace with them. So you're talking about someone who has a complex that's built into his very engineered nature. So the nature of the white man is to be a devil, but then when you go into his time, Chronon or Cronus is actually the father time in the Greek philosophy. And then Cronus is also the Titan that castrated his father because he was afraid of his power. So when you talk about this paradigm that we currently live in, the paradigm that we currently live in, or that just ended, was the white man's time because they created the calendar that we live off of. The increments of time in seconds and hours, the 1260. So when you look at that, you say, damn, this came from the Gregorian calendar. What if I don't subscribe to the Gregorian calendar? I didn't make that up. Who said that that was right? That ain't based off my nature. So that's based off the lunar cycle, right? Now in Ethiopia, they had calendars that was based off lunar and solar. And in the old Islamic world, it's based off the lunar calendar. Now, for me, I look at that as this. The white intellectual paradigm, because the way Fruden broke down the Cronus complexes, they was all breaking it down, all these different levels, but they was all saying the same thing. Is that basically that the woman's future was based on her ability to have a boy. And so the white man's paradigm is the man and the boy. So if you ever watch any of those movies with the kings and the queens, they almost discard the queen and she has an inability to produce boys for them. So in the black man's paradigm, it's supposed to be the man and the woman. You understand? That's our time. So when I look at it, I say, wait a minute. We regrade ourselves about our age based off it being a 12 calendar. And then, like my brother said, it was 10 months at first.
Yes, sir.
What if we was born in one with 19 months? Then how old would we be? But if a person can control your time, then they can control you. So when you talk about the devil's time being up from his 6,000 period in 1914, then that's supposed to usher in a new time. And now we in the emergency of his time, that 9/11 era. Now I could go into just the deepness of it, but that Cronus is very important when you want to understand the devil, because understand his nature.
I got one more question for you, gentlemen. One more question, man. I could go on all night asking y'all questions, man. This is like one of my favorite interviews in a while, brothers. I appreciate it. You just mentioned woman. This new paradigm. I'm talking to the shifters now.
The shifters, man.
So I need to get this shifters perspective now. Talking about woman, we talking about shifting to this new paradigm, and I got two brothers here that are dressed in a manner that when a person sees you, if they grew up before a certain time period, they know your brothers are probably from the Nation of Islam. Now, what I want to ask you is that today's woman, people feel as though they don't want to dress like the traditional woman from the Nation of Islam. They don't want to cover their head. They don't want to cover. They want to show some thigh. The sisters want to show some thigh. They want to show some leg. They looking at Beyonce. You know, they want to show some body or whatever. They want to do their hair. They want to put up some makeup. You know, makeup is a multi-million-dollar industry right now. They want to look good. So a sister may look at your brothers and say, "Them brothers is cool," but in that old paradigm, the Nation of Islam treated women like she was beneath men. In this new paradigm, they say it's the age of the divine feminine. Women don't want to be beneath man. Women don't want to be Adam's rib, or they don't want to be the Nation of Islam and wear 3/4 or whatever. So in this new paradigm, what message or how do you go about dealing with our queens in our community?
Well, the first thing I say is the Nation of Islam, I was born in the Nation of Islam, and it never has taught that the woman was beneath the man.
That's right.
From jump. I'm going to just say that from the very beginning, because I don't know what black woman in America you can tell her that you beneath me and you don't get a shoe upside your head. That's the first thing, because that's just not true. We are taught in the Nation of Islam that no nation can rise any higher than its woman. In order for her to rise, it means that someone must be beneath her, lifting her up. We are taught in the Nation of Islam that heaven lies at the foot of the black woman. So everything that we have been taught in the Nation of Islam, including that 75% of the work is with the woman. We do not have no sister walking 10 paces behind us telling you cover your whole face and only see your eyes. You know, all that stuff, that is not what we teach. That's not what we follow. I wouldn't be a part of anything like that subjugates women. The second thing I would say is the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan recently stated that the woman has taken charge over all of the fights for justice, freedom, and equality. Recently, when Donald Trump was elected to office, over 75,000 women turned out in front of the Capitol in Washington, D.C. in protest to this new president being elected after the remarks he made about women and the remarks that he continues to make about women. So the women are tired. They're tired. They've been tired. But now they're tired so much to where they're like, listen, we don't care. We got to stand in front of bullets, in front of guns, in front of anything, tanks. We're tired of this, and we're tired of not only being mistreated by the man, and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said that the world is in the condition that it is in because of the disrespect of the woman. So a lot of sisters, to answer your question, brother, they don't like to wear, sisters meaning who are not in the nation, who are interested in coming to the nation, who love the way the brothers, you know, how we dress, our discipline, how we show them respect. Many of them did question us just yesterday, as a matter of fact. And they were saying, well, when I come in, do I have to cover my hair and do all this long dresses? And I had to tell them, most of the sisters came right off the street just like them. We real people. You know, I wasn't born in a suit. Like people really think, it's like we're real brothers and sisters. This is something that takes time to grow in when you start to understand the value of your hair. If you understand really that value and don't base it off of what other people think and what they say, but sincerely knowing culturally what that means for you, it will explain why the covering is so important. And sisters may not agree, but once you actually learn and gain the knowledge as to why covering is so important in such a disgusting world today, a little girl can't even walk down the street, 2 or 3-year-old innocent girl with her mother, with her father, without getting weird looks by pedophiles and people who have these sick levels of the sick mentality in this world. So a covering as the Holy Quran teaches, and how we are taught in the Nation of Islam, modesty is a protection for the woman because it prevents men with sick minds from being able to even access that level of thinking when it comes to their physical body, because they can't see the physical body, so they're not even able to picture that. But even in this world, you can be fully covered and you still got some creeps out here who will come up with some kind of way to say, oh, you know what, I want to do this and that different type of thing. So for the covering, that is something that each sister looks at on an individual basis, and it has taken time for every single sister who chose to go into that way of living, the covering, the modesty, the hair, all of that. But it's an individual thing, and every sister that I know who has come into the nation, it's something that they have had to do or make a decision on a personal basis. But there is no force or compulsion in Islam. It says it in the Holy Quran, and that's what we teach. So there's no force. Everything that you do as a sister or as a brother is something that you have seen. It's true, it's right, and it's exact because you have seen the actual facts for yourself. And that's the only thing we teach.
You know, I don't think no sister joins the Nation of Islam or stays in the Nation of Islam because of what they have to wear. They stay and they join because of the truth. And they understand it and they know it to be true. With that said, I want to shift the conversation to what our responsibility is as men and as guys in this paradigm, because oftentimes I know this is true because the woman tells me their feelings. I feel that you all are leaving me out. I feel as if you don't have my back. I feel as if I love y'all brothers, but I don't know if y'all love us the same. So I think that it's incumbent upon the average individual to give more energy and to make sure that you understand that the black woman is talking about. So when you see these sisters out, it's not to have a superior mind, it has to be non-judgmental. You save that energy to save them, not to judge them. Judgments burn energy. So when I see my sisters out about me judging them, I'm gonna say, let me understand. I empathize with any level of any interpretation of their divinity that they have for themselves, because a lot of women have reached greater levels of divinity than the brothers who talking about. They didn't reach greater levels of godhood than the brothers who speaking on them. Just because the brother has logic, reason, and consciousness doesn't mean that he done went to greater levels than this woman, because her character might be better than that who is talking about her, but you judging her based off the way that she looks. And the reason she has to control the way that she looks is because you don't have your character together. And by you, I'm talking about the entire, masculine or patriarch, if we will. So the feminine divine has to be in line with the masculine divine. It doesn't work one without the other. So we can't come up here as masculine gods unless we uphold the feminine divine at the same time. Otherwise, we missing a huge piece of ourselves. The Honorable Muhammad said 75% of the work is with the woman, and to me that represents a subconscious mind. And so when I think about that, I say, wait a minute, if I understand woman, then I understand parts of myself as well that I can't understand. I can't get that from a man. So I think that there has to be a level of sensitivity in the conscious community to make sure that we work and evolve with women. When I was talking about the white man paradigm, being the male and the boy, to me that represents the 1-1, not the 1-9. The 9 represents the feminine. So your mind has to be aligned with the conscious and the subconscious. So therefore it has to have harmony and balance. If the Nation of Islam was running off a patriarchal system, then it will fall and fail. But every leader has a woman. You have sisters like Dr. Ava, or Sister Ava. Is it doctor?
Yes,
okay,
doctor. Yes,
doctor, the sister of doctor.
Yes, sir.
I'll make sure. I don't want to,
Yes, sir.
But it's important because I think that I tell brothers, they always ask me what books to read. And I say, read a woman. That's your cheat codes to consciousness right there. You're going to learn so much more if we make sure that our life is always balanced with the thought of understanding a woman. We shouldn't have any part of our paradigm that doesn't have a woman there on the side of us. If she's the second self of God, which is consciousness, then she should always be there once you have a conscious thought. So the sister asked us at the event, she wanted to see more representation of women. And I believe that
Son of this event?
no, we had an event, the Shifters event, man. We had a powerful event. Shout out to my brother Derek Grayson.
Today.
Yeah, Billionaire PA, Red Pill, Blue Pill, man. We had the guys that came out.
Derek Grace.
And Derek Grayson, we was talking about, making sure we reach more women. Because we don't want to ever have an old paradigm system that shuns women and makes them feel as if they're not welcome in a place that they want to feel comfortable in.
Right.
So if they see the guys, they just want to walk and feel protected, not walk and feel judged. Like, oh man, I can't get some knowledge from y'all. Y'all judging me for twerking. My sister, no, I'm gonna pour knowledge into you till you just behave correctly. I'm not gonna judge you for what you're doing, but I am gonna give you truth. And I'm gonna upgrade and elevate you at every level of consciousness. And once you get to that highest level of consciousness, and if it's truth that I poured into you and you took it, then you would change your behavior based on having the truth. I don't have to condemn you at all because you are God. And so I tell the brothers, you know, a patriarch can't win, a matriarch can't win, a God-triarch. That's a man and a woman.
That's right.
God-triarch.
God-triarch.
In the Nation of Islam, we are, I believe, about discipline, like you said on stage, self-discipline. And when you talk about the woman not wanting to be in the garments, we all have things that we don't want to do. There are some brothers that don't want to go out and help the people. There are some people that don't want to go out with the phone call. There are some brothers that don't want to go out with the door-to-door because they're introverts. Actually, that's how I used to be. I didn't, want to be an introvert, but it took the submission to Allah. It took the submission to God to bring me out into something that I would have never been if I was just only being what I wanted to be. Because when you get down to the root of it, sometimes the reason we want to be like other people is because somebody else's mindset has went into them and now influenced them to want that. So if we were just left alone, like the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said, he says Islam is our nature. That's why we don't call it a religion, because if we were just left alone and was not born and shaped in iniquity, this is our lifestyle. This is how we would naturally be. And when it comes to the garments, I believe that it's really, like he said, we are protecting. It's to be proactive. Because when you see a sister with a garment, like the brother said, there are some sisters who be dressed up and they get abused as well, because you got sick white, or not even just white, but black folks, all kind of folks, wicked minds out there that wants to rape, that wants to do all these sick things. So if you know there's people out there that's willing to do these things and you cover, imagine what they're going to do when they see your booty bouncing. Imagine what they're going to do when they see your nipples out. Of course, as men, I'm talking about as men, we're naturally going to be inclined to that. Of course, we may be aroused sometimes because of that, because it's our nature to love the black woman and to love her body and be aroused by that. If not, we wouldn't even, get it. You know what I'm saying?
We won't be producing no more guys.
Right. So, with that being said, it's a protection. And when you see a woman with a garment from the Nation of Islam, I believe that we've done such a job in going into the communities, making a reputation. When you see somebody with a garment or an MGT or a Vanguard, you think twice about messing with that woman. So it's not about us pushing you down or making you second. No, we actually making you first, because we ain't got to kill for you. We don't have to go out there and protect you. There's some men that don't care where their woman go at night. You can go out at night, 12 o'clock at night. They don't care what happened. So I think as a woman, well, I don't even want to say that because but I think as women, I'm gonna go ahead and say it, that you should appreciate men that care for you like that. Because even though you may not like the garment, it's not even about always wearing a garment. You can just simply wear a hat. There's many sisters that wear jumpsuits. So it's just about being proactive, because we don't want anything to happen. So just like they don't go out with their thighs out, we don't go out with our thighs out. We're not going out with our shirts out. So
we're not being hypocrites.
Yeah, so it's a program. It's not something that just the sisters got to do that and we ain't got to do nothing too. We got rules as well. We got to obey laws as well. And there's some brothers that don't agree with certain things, but when we submit, we'll get the message and we'll get the understanding later. So I believe, man, it's about being proactive and protecting the sisters. And I don't know anybody, I don't know no other group that's known for protecting their women like the FOI. So when it comes to them being second or come to them being last, like the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, no nation rises no higher than this woman. And to give you a testimony, there was a sister that I interviewed, and I haven't posted it on YouTube yet, it's on my Facebook, and I was doing testimonial Thursdays. And she said, before I came in the Nation of Islam, I had all these ideas, because some women have this perception when you come in the Nation of Islam, all you got to do is stay at home and cook and clean and be a mom. Now, of course, the minister said your baby, which any woman should agree with this, comes before your career. So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said the woman's home is her base, not her place, meaning that this is where you're going to lock it down. This is where we're going to rear our children. This is where we're going to produce gods, because he has a whole lecture on how to give birth to a god. So when it comes to that, I don't know no other group that has a repetition of protecting the black woman. So I don't think we got them second. I think we putting them first and before, like no other organization.
Before you say what you said, can we be gods without women?
No, of course not.
We can't even call ourselves black gods unless there's women.
And and even when you talked about the rib, the minister said stop teaching that the woman came from the rib. And that's even symbolic.
Exactly.
You know, that's even symbolic. So no, we're not going to talk about she came from the rib. He says he says no, that never was a time when the man was without the woman.
Come on,
he said the woman is the second self of God and her womb is God's workshop.
Come on.
So we talk about all the time. The Honorable Miss Louis Farrakhan came through a black woman's womb. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad came through a black woman's womb. Michael Jordan. Steve Jobs, any great person that has did something to influence the community or the world came through a womb. And even if they came through a white womb or a Chinese womb, none of them will be here without the black woman. So we have given that knowledge to self, and we have showed the sisters who they are, and I believe better than anybody else.
And the last thing I'm gonna say on that is we do not teach that a woman must submit to a man that is not a producer.
That's right.
The Honorable Miss Louis Farrakhan, because a lot of sisters will say, I don't want to be controlled. You can't control me. I'm not going to submit to you. What you mean submit to you? No. First of all, you never submit to a Negro or an individual who is not worthy of you submitting to him, because you only submit to that which is worthy of you. And so the submission, which we as brothers do too, we submit to the higher self, to the God consciousness within self, not the devil of self. But as you see a good man going out and producing, bringing home the money, he's striving, he's going away from the negative stuff he used to do. You're not selling drugs no more. You're not getting drunk and doing something negative. He's actually making something for himself. He's being a good father. He's being a good brother. He's being a good entrepreneur, a teacher, a lover, a community activist. When he's doing all of that, he's producing. So you will feel better by nature to submit to a real man because he is being a producer and he is earning you. So in the Nation of Islam, we are never taught to tell no woman that just because you my woman, you got to submit to me. Just because you my wife, you got to bow down to me. No. We have to continuously earn your trust with us, earn your agreement to work with us as your maintainer, as your sustainer, as the provider, as the protector. That's what we have to continue to do. And it's over and over, because the more we do it, the more you will see, and the more sisters and women will see that the black man is rising. We are rising. Is that right?
Yes,
the
sir.
black gods are rising, and we are back. This is not just something that we're talking about. We are striving. I know I can speak for these brothers and myself. We strive to the best of our ability to live what we teach and to live the greatest examples of what we learn, so that the sisters can really understand and know that, you know what, we don't need to give up completely on our brothers. Our brothers are doing their best, and you know what? We're going to look at the good side, settle on the best part, and we're going to give faith to our brothers, and we're going to work with them because you deserve it. And we sincerely apologize for the negatives of us as men, and we will continue to do better by you as a group of sisters and as the brothers and sisters of this entire.
And we're not about using the scriptures out of context. When
Not
it
at
talks
all.
about submitting,
Nah.
how can you as a man tell a woman to submit to you when you ain't willing to submit to the laws of God?
Come on now.
So when it comes to that, even when it comes to the Bovada thing, man, we don't even want our women out there working. If she want to work, of course she can work. She's not,
Right.
forced to stay at home. But we as the FOY, not FOLI,
Right.
I'm talking about FOY, we want our women to be able to have that freedom, because if we want her to cook us a good meal, we want her to clean, and we can do all these things
Take
as
care of the
well,
children.
and we want her to raise a God, how we gonna have her raising the God when she gotta worry about some white man stressing her out at work? Then she coming home and she gonna bring that stress home. So when he talks about heaven lies at the feet of the woman, we have to, as men, create that heaven. We have to create that environment. So as men, FOY, we the ones who stand on men being the providers and allowing women
That's right.
to be who they are. How you gonna expect a 100% woman when you're not 100% man?
Come on.
So I made a video last year about the man being the provider. I got all kind of flack about, man, it's 2018. Man, that woman better get 50% of the rent. I ain't finna be paying. I only take care of my children. So we as the FOY, we are the ones that some men today, and it's sad that they feel like just because they woman is whatever, they feel like she got to pay 50% of the bills. They feel like all they got to do is taking care of their children. I thought as a man, we supposed to be the providers, maintainers, and be the ones that has the vision that can take your family to the next level. So that's what we're trying to
Let me say
uphold.
this one last thing, because I want women to understand this, right? And I think this is something they can really get that's applicable when they take on this thought process. When you look at the Star of David, right? It's a 6-pointed star. You got the left, right? You got one here, one at the top, and then one at the bottom. You know, if I'm talking, let's say I'm talking to a woman who's a genius, right? And she walks up to me and we having a great conversation. And let's say she zipped up, but all of a sudden she zipped down a little bit. She starts to show her cleavage. Now what that's going to do is going to start pointing my mental energies to my lower self. So instead of me having this conversation where we can build on our higher minds, now she got me down here. And so a lot of times what that does is you pointing the man to his lustful side. You understand? Instead of having him to his higher side to where y'all can build on something together. So if a woman wants a man that wants a friendship first, that wants to build something, that wants to create a business, that wants to actually create a third entity, then she has to first seduce his higher mind before seducing his lower side. When you seduce the higher mind, then y'all can build together. You seduce the lower side, y'all just go chill together. So you get mad at the results that you get, but in this society where the lower mind is the one that rules this frequency, this paradigm, then why would you continuously seduce that and get mad at the results from your seduction? Because really you just being successful. It's just that what you succeeding in is making you fail at what you really want in life.
Okay.
Let me leave it there, brother.
You was like, really, you successful. That's deep. Say that one more time. She's successful, but...
She's successful because all her tactics are employing the lower mind. But she's failing because what she really wants is something that's developed from the higher consciousness, which is a relationship that builds a third entity. You understand? Right. So when I look at the lower and higher, it's like, am I dressing to attract the higher mind or I'm dressing to attract the lower mind? And every woman and every man knows when a woman is seducing him or not. Even if a woman is not even trying to, subconsciously, unconsciously, or consciously, she knows what she's doing because she knows the details. She knows if you leave your toothbrush on the counter, then you're missing something, and then that represents something in your mind, and her intuitive mind start to kick in and say, wait a minute, something not wrong with the bigger picture here. So I know she can grade herself by those small details as well. Because if you want a relationship, you want to become married, then you have to seduce a man's higher mind. And so a woman who's covered up, she don't have to worry about seducing the man lower side. Now he can hear her mind instead of just look at her physical appearance.
From behind.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? Her class, not her hat. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Wow, man, the shifters.
The shifters, man.
Have spoken.
Yes, sir.
Leave your contact information, gentlemen, please.
All right, guys, follow me on YouTube. Please subscribe to Brother Ben X, Instagram at Brother Ben X, Facebook at Brother Ben X, and you'll find all the other information there.
At 19_keys on IG. If you follow me within 19 days, if I don't change your life, unfollow me. I promise you. YouTube, 19 keys. Twitter, 19 keys. www.19keys gets you some crowns.
Brother Rizza Islam, Instagram _Rizza Islam, Twitter, Islam Rizza, RizzaIslam.com. And also, subscribe to my YouTube, because now it's new and we're going to get on there.
Yes,
Rizza
sir.
Islam.
Yes, sir. The shifters.
The shifters in the building.
Shifters in the building. Thank you once again, gentlemen.
Yes,
Thank you,
all right.
brother.
All right, peace.
Yes, sir.
They gon' need the cage in that gymnasium. I play to win, Will still Chamberlain. Even Damien and Satan is afraid of him.
And they was talking all that hot ish. Where the prophets ain't apostles, here the gospel is the gossip. I'm a science project, try and pocket this rhyming process. Watch us in formation, going through lines. Fiber optics, this is Miley Cyrus in her freak phase. The naked truth, don't be Ray Caruth in a trunk punk, just take the truth. Shit, Daisy Dukes at a night show. I raid your room, change the mood. That was like though, break a fuse if they refuse. This snapping, shots without the flashes. If I was ever in a pit with you, that's harassment. Your storyboard magic, they had it. To be real, our ears over the field like 100-yard passes. Score the basket, order more caskets. Only way they getting bypasses is gastric. I'm tapped in, it's too late. Fix your face, this is sleeping on a killer in a cabin by Crystal Lake.
Lord,
we got rent to raise.
They gon' need to raise the rim. They gon' need a cage in that gymnasium. I play to win, Will still Chamberlain. Put the globe on my middle finger and made it spin. They gon' need to raise the rim.